Hello and welcome to Movie Recap. Today I am going to recap Korean romantic comedy movie Love Guide for Dumpees. Young Soon lowers the radio volume and gets dressed for a wedding with style. He lies down on the bed for a while, after which he braces himself to attend the most important event of his life. He is at the wedding venue and captures a selfie with the bride, oblivious to the fact that someone is taking a picture at this moment too. Kim Jae-seok is the groom, a renowned urologist who is marrying Ma Joo-yeon, the chief editor of a top food magazine. Young Soon gulps drink after drink while all the guests are away celebrating with the newlyweds. He starts mumbling about how he slept with the bride the day she got engaged and is bitter about how she ditched him to marry this guy. He is drunkenly wolfing down the food at the bar when he picks up and eats the last piece of the salmon sushi. A girl standing beside him calls him out for eating instead of watching the wedding. Young Soon doesn't recognize her at first, but she reminds him that they had drinks with the bride at a pub, and he owes her for the last piece of sushi she just ate. She demands Young Soon compensate her for the salmon sushi she wants. And when some guests pass them by talking about how the bride married the urologist because he knocked her up, she raises Young Soon's hand to tell everyone that he's the real father of the baby. Young Soon can't take any more of these atrocities happening to him, so he hands over his business card to her so that he can buy her salmon sushi later. Still struggling to recover from his breakup, Jin Soon tries to unlock his car while the girl from the wedding stands nearby, as she has come over to his office through his card. Young Soon gets scared when he sees her so unexpectedly, and she gets the keys from his hands, unlocks his car, and sits in the driver's seat to start up his car. She can't let him drive drunk because it's illegal, so she makes him sit in the passenger seat and fasten his seatbelt as she drives them to a place where they can get salmon sushi. There she brings up extremely private information about Young Soon's body that Julian leaked to her. Young Soon feels even more betrayed at his privacy being invaded and regrets his decision to go to his ex's wedding, just 2 months after breaking up with her. He's doing shots and estimating that the unborn baby inside his ex is probably Junseok's. He mutters that he wants to perish, so the girl gets the idea of going to his place to have more drinks. He doesn't like the idea too much because he has a studio apartment where he won't let any women in. The girl doesn't listen and leads him there anyway. There, Young Soon thinks that they are both doing shots together and she can handle her alcohol really well, when in reality she is dumping her shots in the pot of green tea they're about to drink. She looks around his house at photographs and folded clothes as she offers him more drinks, even though he is clearly wasted. This is when Jung Soon's friend and roommate Dae-kray is about to step into the apartment, but Jung Soon takes him outside and makes the excuse that his mother is visiting. He begs Dae-kray to leave and fights him off while the girl applies lipstick sitting calmly inside Jung Soon's apartment. She takes out a bunch of pills from her bag and ingests them. By the time Dae-kray leaves, Jung Soon's intoxication has worn off and he hears the sound of the elevator closing. He is changing the code to his apartment when Dae-kray catches him red-handed and inquires who is actually inside their apartment. Young Soon and Dae-kray are up to their foolish actions while the girl inside has taken even more pills. After resting for a while, she loosens her top and lies down, sweating and breathing heavily. After Dae-kray finally leaves for good, Young Soon tries to unlock his apartment through the new code, but he's already forgotten it because of being distracted and drunk. The girl opens the door slightly, hitting his head with it because she is high herself. His eyes fall to the droplets of sweat trickling down her collarbone, and he finds it very hot. They start making out aggressively inside the apartment, and the girl impulsively shoves him off her. He apologizes, and his head hurts, so she moves closer to him and grabs his face. They're snogging resumes as they move all over Jung Soon's studio and take off each other's clothes swiftly. When they've had sex, the girl rolls over to the other side and starts sniffling. Jung Soon worries that he did something wrong but then falls asleep. When he wakes up in the middle of the night, the girl is nowhere to be seen. His head hurts, and he curses Janseok. He gets scared when he stumbles upon the girl asleep on the floor of his living room in her lingerie with some pills lying around. He hesitantly wakes her up, but she doesn't respond. This is when he observes the pills and picks them up. He shakes the girl's body vigorously to wake her up and calls an ambulance. The paramedic in the hospital asks Jung Soon for the girl's name, which makes him realize that he doesn't even know it. The paramedic gets suspicious of Jung Soon and contemplates calling the police. Young Soon gets a flashback of the moment when the girl took the condom off him before proceeding with getting intimate with him. His mind starts to race, thinking of all the scenarios of how his sperm is inside this random girl, and all the other evidence like her hair and underwear will give the wrong impression to the police. They think that he lured her in. So, he starts to pretend as if he is her boyfriend to avoid his apartment turning into a crime scene. He pleads with the doctor to save her and informs him about the pills she took. The doctor reports that all the pills she ate could lead to acute heart failure or cardiac arrest, which freaks out Jung Soon even more. The doctor comforts him and questions why they fought, which led to this. The girl has also been throwing up constantly as she had a lot of food earlier, which softened the blow of the drugs she took. She almost passed away but will be okay for now. The doctor is kind enough to not mention her medical records for insurance purposes and prescribes pills for 3 days to her. He grants Young Soon permission to take her away as soon as she wakes up and instructs him to feed her porridge for some days until her gut heals. As the doctor and Jung Soon move away from her bed, the girl opens her eyes, indicating that she was conscious all along and could hear them. She wakes up to see her bag and clothes lying on the bed beside her. She has her lunch while Jung Soon interrogates her about why she picked his house to take. She jogs Jung Soon's memory to get an idea of how much he remembers from last night and discovers that he is aware that they didn't exchange names but had sex. Young Soon leans in closer and confirms that she really did remove the condom last night, which makes him more upset. He schools her on how sex without protection leads to a baby, which is why he always uses it. She mentions that bare skin feels better than using a condom, and Jung Soon wonders which man taught her that. She answers that Kim Junsiak did, which baffles him. He remembers now the pub they were at together. This girl, C, who is John Seok's, as he was feeding her salmon sushi at the dinner where Jung Soon was drunk with Ju Young, his ex. He recalls who she is now, and she explains that she chose his place to commit to take revenge on her ex, who'd immediately find out about them. Listening to her questions and justifications convinces Young Soon that she is crazy, and he gets angry at her for all the chaos she's created. C, who gives him a reality check that he still hasn't moved on from Ju Young, who is already on her honeymoon. She wants him to accept that they have both lost at love, so it doesn't matter if they slept with each other. He doesn't want to pretend like they are friends or sulking losers, but C, who has no shame in admitting that she is quite pathetic based on her actions of the previous day. Young Soon leaves anyway because he is very upset at her erratic actions and reasoning. Young Soon later plays basketball with Diakray, and he keeps pestering him about who he hooked up with last night. Young Soon mentions how he used to spy on him and Ju John when they were together, which is why he didn't disclose the girl from last night to Diakray. Diakray makes fun of all the noises he heard coming from their apartment last night, and applauds Jung Soon for moving on from a woman with another woman when he finally learns what happened last night. He believes that what he had with Jeon was just physical attraction, and when he fulfilled it, he started to believe that it was love. The same could happen with C, who too Diakray senses that something is up with Jung Soon and urges him to spill, but to no avail. C, who is doing yoga at her home, gets a call from a woman named Kim from the marriage bureau. She informs C, who that since her mother has already paid in full, she can't get a refund. While she tries to negotiate with Kim, C, who deletes all her pictures with Junsiak with a heavy heart. Diakray and Jung Soon step inside the school's basketball court where some of Jung Soon's students are fighting among themselves, but he doesn't do anything to stop them because he is only teaching at this school for deaf kids out of necessity. They are both worried about the dinner meeting tonight as it will decide their status from temporary to full-time teachers. Diakray teaches Jung Soon that Miss Kim is the only heir to this school foundation, and all temporary teachers will attend to get affiliated with her to secure their jobs. C, who is facing difficulty at work, as she isn't even expected to cook properly but show plates that look good in a very short amount of time, because the photographer is doing a photo shoot for the dishes made at the restaurant. So she resorts to making an edible food that looks really appetizing. Jung Soon and the other temporary teachers at the dinner meeting observe Kim, who eats raw chilies casually. Diakray is seated next to her, sucking up to her completely in hopes of impressing her. Kim looks suggestively at Jung Soon as he eats the meat while Diakray is busy in his inappropriate conversations. She pours Jung Soon a drink as he tries to avoid her gestures and intense eye contact. Diakray attempts to make an excuse for Jung Soon to protect him, but she stays adamant, and Jung Soon takes a shot. Jung Soon just wants to forget the whole night while Diakray is sure that he's hit the lucky jackpot. Diakray advises Jung Soon to do things right when getting intimate with her and get over Juyeon. This is when Jung Soon gets a call from Kim requesting him to come to the parking lot. As he sits in her car, Jung Soon feels at an impasse. C, who reads statistics about men's sexual lives in a magazine while waiting at a salon, she stumbles upon a checklist of signs a woman has had an orgasm and is checking things off the list. When she gets a text from Junsiak expressing that he misses her, she ignores it but gets a call from him. He is sitting in the passenger seat of her car because he's drunk and needs a driver, when it was really an excuse to see her because he misses her. He is clueless about why he married Juyeon when things were so good between him and C, who he mumbles that he only did it to get his own hospital and promises C, who that he'll pay her back the 30 grand he owes her soon. She forbids him from calling her anymore when he mentions that this marriage probably won't last very long. He rushed his wedding to make sure it happened before the passing of his sick mother, and he regrets it now. He begs her to give him a chance, leans back, and she bends toward him but takes him by surprise by hitting him and taunting him to ask his wife to satisfy him. She gets out of the car and walks out until she runs into Jung Soon, who is standing quietly with tears rolling down his cheek. Jung-soon starts walking swiftly away from her, but she catches up to him and takes him out to get food at dinner. Jung-soon notices that Si-whose hair is different, which is because she spent a lot on her hair that day believing that it would be her last. Jung-soon prefers her natural tied hair over her previous hairstyle. Jung-soon lectures her on hurting herself for an ex and questions why she slept with him. Si-who argues that she can't be as cool or nonchalant as him, and she actually feels the loss that came out of that wedding. Jung-soon explains that the true revenge is to live happily without the person who abandoned you because you only get to live once. Si-who hangs her head down in despair, and Jung-soon comes closer to check if she's crying. The close proximity entices them both, and they kiss each other gently until Si-who withdraws suddenly, and Jung-soon apologizes for the gesture. Si-who brings up that he tasted different this time and grabs him to kiss him again. This eventually leads to them sleeping together again. Jung-soon feels confused about why this happens over and over again, but deep down, he knows that he likes it. So, just Si-who and they both bond over discussing the parts where they liked each other's moves. She later cooks for him, and they realize that they have similar eating habits. Young-sun also discovers the truth behind why she cried after their first time together, which is because she was surprised by how enjoyable it was, unlike her previous experience with Jensiak, who was her first. She never really prioritized her pleasure or even brought it up with a man until now. Jung-soon smiles because he finds her embarrassment cute. They're waiting at the bus stop when Si-who proposes that they should keep this going, but only for sex because they both enjoy it. They could be friends with benefits with no strings attached, meet up for dinner and sex afterward for 8 more times, after which they'll move on with their lives. Jung-soon agrees, feeling good about where things are headed. They both meet up for coffee after work and are excited for their evening together. They only use 1 stamp per meeting and make sure to use protection every time. With the passage of time, they have more and more fun and develop a strong understanding with each other, and casual sex progresses to cuddling in the morning too. One morning, Jung-soon even wakes up to Si-who munching down on random plant leaves, yet he still finds her beautiful. The nitpicky photographers at Si-who's workplace find faults in the flower arrangements and ask Si-who's boss Miss Han to get them redone. She brings them to Si-who and takes out her frustration on her with all the trouble the photographers have been giving her. Luckily, Jaeon gives her a job offer to make real food for people. The only catch is that it is a catering job for Junseok's hospital opening. It pays really well and will help launch Si-who's career as a real chef. Si-who is confused when Jaeon convinces her that she is a true professional and passing up on this opportunity would be foolish. Jung-soon is drinking with Diakre, and he announces that he is completely over Juyone. Diakre takes Jung-soon's phone to seal the deal and delete all pictures of Juyun. When Jung-soon gets a call from a contact listed as Salmon Sushi Si-who, Jung-soon doesn't pick up her call and confides in Diakre about how she boosts his confidence and brings out his animal instincts, until his responses disgust him. Diakre gets up to leave because his mom arrives to pick him up. Jung-soon meets up with Si-who at their regular spot, and she has some news for him, which she isn't sure about whether it's good or bad. They go back to Si-who's place after getting coffee and do some yoga together, both struggling at it just as much as Jing-soon, but still not giving up. In hopes that this will clear her mind, she requests Jung-soon to accompany her to Junction's party, even though he hates the idea. They eat the food she has made while stating all the weird places they want to have sex in. Jung-soon lists all mediocre places until Si-who beats him with her answer as she has wanted to do it at a stadium, but couldn't say it to Jansiak. So she wants to do the deed with Jung-soon there, and he can't help but get jealous of the lucky bastard who got to be with 2 wonderful women. Jung-soon curses him and expects Si-who to do the same, but she can't do it because John Coc was still there for her when her father passed away. Jung-sun still despises him for mistreating Si-who both emotionally and physically. He encourages Si-who to curse as a form of healing. She obeys and lets out all her anger. They both get high-spirited and decide to crash his party after all. Jung-soon is eating snacks at the party when Juyeon sits beside him. She tries to be friendly and welcoming to him, while John Sia calls out to Jung-soon, suggesting that he should visit his clinic sometime. Si-who stands beside Jansiak, overlooking the food, and his expression changes. Jeon pulls Si-who to the side and returns her the 30 grand junction at her, because she feels like it is her responsibility to clean up after his messes, even though she still doesn't understand why she married him in the first place. Everyone is having a good time, keeping to themselves at the party when Jansiak gets drunk and provokes Jung-soon. Jansiak belittles Jung-soon for eating an expensive dish until he realizes that Jung-soon needs it frequently. Si-who intercepts here, indirectly insulting Jansiak and offering a cocktail to Jung-soon right in front of her ex. Jansiak pretends to care for her, and gives her some food. She is about to eat it when Jung-soon takes her hand and eats the food himself, turning Johnson green with envy. Jung-soon and Si-who start eating all the food wildly while Jansiak and Julian look at them in apprehension. Jung-soon carries Sihu on his back on the way home and gets her coffee as they are both happy in each other's company and don't care about their exes as much now. At the coffee shop, Jung-soon's face drops as he has run out of stamps, which means that this will be their last meeting. She's tucked in bed as he looks fondly at her. He proceeds to show her that they've run out of stamps, and the smile on her face disappears. He finally answers her question that she did look unbelievably beautiful when she was passed out, so she should never think about it again. He thanks her for everything and hands her the stamp card as a souvenir. After a heart-shattering silence between them, Jung-soon is about to say something when the doorbell rings. It's a drunken Jensiek outside Sihu's house. She tries to stop him, but Jung-soon steps outside to send Jensiek, but he instigates Jung-soon so much that they start fighting. Once they're tired, they both sit and talk, and Jung-soon calmly asks Jensiek to leave Sihu alone. Then, Jung-soon quietly gets his stuff from Sihu's house and leaves. Daekre is spending the night with Kim, who is dominating him, but he makes a fool out of himself, which is exactly when Jung-soon walks in on them. He quits work the next morning because he knows that it'll be Daekre whose contract will be renewed, and Johnson's insulting words about his financial status are still bothering him. Daekre goes after him, and they start fighting like schoolboys. Once they're both done, they apologize to each other and make up. Daekre admits that he actually likes Kim because she's his first, which sets Jung-soon into fits of laughter. Sihu is at the coffee shop alone and checks her delivered texts to Jung-soon that haven't been read yet. She gets a call from her mom pestering her to start looking for a husband, and she feels even more exhausted by her disapproval and unwanted warnings, so she hangs up on her. She gets the memo that it's Jung-soon's birthday tomorrow, so she bakes him a cake and cooks him an extravagant meal as a surprise. Certainly, I've punctuated the paragraph and broken it into smaller, readable paragraphs without changing any words. She hides with the meal and cake in his room, waiting for him to come home. She hears him and Daeka under the apartment, talking about why his relationship ended. Daeka tries to comfort him in his own goofy way, but he feels like a total failure, unworthy of love. His self-loathing continues as Daeka digs out details about Sihu from him, oblivious to the fact that she's listening to their conversation. Daeka talks poorly of her and accidentally finds her crouching down with the cake. She throws the cake away and is about to leave when Jung-soon accepts that he is running away again from love because he has no money or ego. This is unacceptable for Sihu because she doesn't mix love and work. She wants to date him regardless of him being a nobody and having nothing. Jung-soon wants to drop this discussion, but Sihu goes on about how he is a hypocrite for teaching her to live but not allowing himself the same liberty. Jung-soon snaps at her and slams the ruined cake on the wall. Sihu finally surrenders and decides that if he hates himself, she'll do the same too. She feels like a loser for going there and storms out, leaving Jung-soon to fall into the depths of despair. Kim and Daeka are at a bar where Jung-soon has passed out because of his excessive drinking. Kim believes that this is because he's heartbroken, but all this is beyond Daeka's understanding. Kim makes him promise that whoever he dates next, he'll pass on the techniques he learned from her to that person. He must also date a younger woman after breaking up with Kim so that the cycle of passing down sexual knowledge can carry on. It's true that they'll eventually break up because she detests marriage. Daeka heads in the opposite direction, telling her that he loves her and wants to stay with her forever. Sihu finds herself at the stadium cursing Jung-soon. He is depressed and contemplating going back to her when he hears the news of Junseoka's passing. He lost his life because of drunk driving, and Jung-soon is talking to Julian when she starts labor. Sihu gets to the hospital after attending the funeral, and they both overcome their differences and confess their love for each other. Their climactic kiss leads to fulfilling and promising lives where they excel both at their careers and in their relationship together. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on the notification, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.